That's funny. Okay. All right. Well, hello, everyone. I hope you're having a good day today. So I apologize. My camera is a little off. I feel like my head might look like it's a little off. Anyway, so I'm actually reaching out today because I read something very fascinating and wanted to share it with you. Um, so just a little bit about myself. I am actually 41 years old, and I know it doesn't look like it. It's kind of fun. Anyway, so I was married for 20 years and ended up going through a divorce. I don't want to go into detail about that right now. That may be a later thing. We'll see. However, I went into the traditional marriage type thing, except I did stuff backwards. So I was pregnant before I got married, that kind of a thing. But I still valued dating and traditional marriage. Part of the weirdness of me getting out of that was that in today's age, I felt like I stepped right out into this very bizarre platform, and it was very strange. The way that people are in the dating scene, it's just a little bit more confusing than I thought it would be, simply because the era that I went into the dating thing in was very straightforward. You know, you liked somebody, it was not a big deal. If you were friends, you were friends. There was none of this crazy stuff, that um, has been going on these days. So, in light of that, I wanted to bring to the table something that I read about, and it was really, really neat because it actually helped me to understand a couple things and helped me to realize how many women in our day and age just simply do not understand basic things. And I've even fallen short of this. So I was on Facebook. Yeah, I was on Facebook, and I was reading this post that somebody put up, and it was from men for men, but kind of for women, right? If we listen. So the guy puts up here, he said, men, write down in this post what turns you off about women. And it wasn't just what turns you off, it was what turns you off quickly about women. And I'm like, oh boy, this is actually good intel. Okay. I'm not going to be offended, I hope. So anyway, I'm watching this and going through this, and was just really amazed at what I read, because it didn't dawn on me that maybe, just maybe, there's a lot of other women out there who don't know what they're doing right with stuff. So I'm going to go down some basic lists that they had. The guy had the people. Now, understand too that there's always going to be the person out there who's never satisfied, right? Doesn't matter what you do, what you say. I mean, the one guy made me laugh so hard. He said when they open their mouth, and I was like, oh man, buddy. Like, I know men that are like that. So you're just like, oh man, because what's coming out of their mouth is just really not good in a lot of ways. Women, we can do the same thing. So sorry, I'm just not used to this live thing. And again, my camera is tilted. That's really weird. I don't think I can move it anywhere. It's just going to be cricket. So sorry, guys. But anyway, the whole point that I want to bring to the table is, women, ladies, if you're listening, I need you to really hear what I'm saying, because this is coming from men to us. So if we listen well, then we can learn from it. Now, the other thing is, gentlemen, if you want to add anything in here, obviously let's not do a whole bunch of like hateful things. Just be really real. Okay. Ladies, do not nitpick. If I get on here and I see comments with nitpicking, I'm just going to tell you right now, this is not the YouTube thing for you. So just go do something different. Okay. This is not an offensive thing. This is just me being really real about this situation. If you're interested in learning about what guys actually say, then you need to take your guard down. And what we do, we call this in the basically like the training community, is you've got to put your pride and your ego aside. Okay. Your pride and your ego are kind of like two little monsters that will eat you up and they'll eat up everybody around them, especially if you think you know everything and maybe you don't. And we've all been there at one point in life. We've been there. So, okay, getting back to it. So, one of the things that they talked about specifically was um, with women can be very insecure. And in this insecurity, it can cause a lot of problems. So, ladies, I'm going to speak this out for the guys, okay? I'm going to give the guys a one on this one because I know I've had my insecurities. Now, in the dating realm, you're just dating, right? But if you're starting to get serious, you should be able to talk to each other about the basic insecurities. You know, this is different than being so insecure you have to stalk the guy. Look, ladies, don't do that. It's ridiculous. If a guy says a comment in your text and it's like 2 or 3 hours later that he texts back, and I've fallen short of this too. Let me just say I have fallen short of this. I've been like, oh, come on, dude. Here's the thing. If it takes him a while to get back to you about something, think about the fact that he's working. And if he's not working, he might be relaxing. You don't know what he's dealing with on a daily basis. You're not married. And you need to be able to learn how to bear patiently. Okay. Patience is really a very valuable tool in life. That's one of the reasons why I highly suggest you go hunting or you go fishing because you have to exercise that patience. Or maybe you go and you take care of a friend's kids or something like that because if you don't have kids of your own, because you have to bear in patience. So patience is something you have to exercise. Okay. You get this down now, ladies, and you are going to be so grateful that you did because you're going to have a lot of moments in life that are going to need you to very much be patient. So, okay, he said that was the factor, like was, just be patient, okay? Don't be so insecure that you have to stalk them. Don't be so insecure that if they, say that they're not dating anyone else, that you feel like you have to jump in and find and blah, blah, blah. Look, this is ridiculous. It really is. Let me tell you something. If we were like 50 years ago, 100 years ago, that's not how this works. You have to learn at some point how to trust somebody. What is the term that we use? It's innocent until proven guilty. And realistically, don't be trying to prove him guilty. Ladies, it's hard for us not to. I get it. I'm a woman. I've been down the road where I suspected something was happening and I was wrong. I've also been down the road where I suspected something was happening and I was very right, horribly right. So, just putting that out there, ladies, okay. Insecurities are going to happen with everybody, but it doesn't mean that the first person that comes along and wants to talk about it needs to hear the entire story. Exercise your patience with yourself and your diligence with maybe something new, which is, hey, I need to go ahead and figure out if this is somebody I want to talk to about these problems or these things I'm going through. So there's that. The next thing that I noticed in this whole list, and these are thousands of guys putting this out here, I noticed that nitpicking was like on the list. Continuously finding flaws. Ladies, we cannot do that. We just can't. You're going to lose a good guy by trying to make him better. Let me explain something to you. We are all imperfect people, okay? This is where pride and ego have to take a back seat somewhere. They've got to go. They don't belong with you. They need to go, okay? Ladies, 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 don't try to change a man, all right? If you're not into him, all of him, he's not the guy for you. It's that simple. If there's things about him that he says, I want to work on this with myself, that's different. But when you come into the relationship and you just start trying to change him and make him something he's not, honey, he's not that person. He's going to probably like you enough to try, but then when everything falls apart and you break up, you're both going to be hurting. So I just want to put this out there, ladies. We've got to get to that point where stop nitpicking, stop pointing out every single flaw. The other thing I noticed was she expects so much. Okay, now I'm going to be really real on this one, and it's going to go both ways. It's going to go for the guys, it's going to kind of go for the ladies. It'll just kind of go where it's going to go. Okay, let me just be real with you. Okay, gentlemen, there's a lot of lazy men out there. There's a lot of lazy women out there. It's both. Okay, let me be really real on this. Okay, a relationship takes work. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes all the things. But, you know, us as women, we shouldn't be nitpicking. We shouldn't be trying to change everything. You know, and I recognize that value, you know, the value of a good relationship with women is the ability that we have to be able to have communication with one another and to kind of go forward. But I also have issues where, you know, I was in the relationship where I was not lazy and they were lazy, and that sucked. So I'm just going to put this out there on both sides. Don't be lazy. Ladies, don't expect so much when you just start dating someone. And even then, you know, I'm not saying don't have good expectations, you know, like it's good to have a job. It's good to have your ducks in an order. It's good to have these things. But communication with each other, if you feel like something is not working out very well, or you feel like there's an area where maybe he could improve, because you notice that he's struggling with something he told you that he wants to fix, that's an area where we help, we come up, that's what we do. But, you know, you've got to get to the point where you don't expect everyone to be a Superman. I mean, literally, there's only been one perfect person I've ever known in my life. And that's, you know, again, this is faith, family, and all the good stuff. So everybody that knows me knows I'm going to say Jesus, okay? That's the only perfect person I've ever met in my life. And when I say I met the Lord in prayer and all this other stuff. So I'm not going to go into detail on that. That's for another podcast. So another video. So ladies, we've got to get to the point where we stop making the expectations at 2000 whatever and bring it down to realistic. Okay. So what does a realistic relationship genuinely look like? Okay. These guys are all putting it out there, you know, expectations, nitpicking, you know, all this. Let's talk about the fact that they also say, realistically, she's expecting to be like what I saw in all of this stuff was she's expecting marriage attitude without the ring on the finger. Hold up, ladies. Hold up. If you are in a relationship with someone and it just started, you're not married. Don't quit your job. Don't go off and not take care of yourself and your bills and all your normal things. Don't sit there and cut your girlfriends out or whatever. You're just dating someone. You're just getting to know him. Let's say it's a year down the road. Okay, things might change a little bit. They're going to be a little different because you're getting to know each other even more. And here's the reality, gentlemen. It's not always going to be easy. You know, I talked with one of my sons. I have a lot of baggage, you know. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm going to tell you the truth. I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot that even my kids don't know about. And that's part of the book that I'm writing. I'm writing this book. It's going to be great. I'm not going to tell you what it is until it's done. That way it's there. But in the book, I am talking about the stuff that I went through. And some of this stuff is very hard. And a lot of people, let's just be honest, a lot of people wouldn't have mentally made it through it. But I am so thankful that I have. So I come with baggage, you know, and that's Here's the reality is most people in life do come with baggage. Everyone has baggage. Okay? So let me just lay that out, that everyone in life has baggage. What you have to determine in your relationships, whether you choose to be friends or you choose to actually date, is you need to understand that when a person comes with baggage, it doesn't mean that baggage is always going to be that heavy. Think about it like this. If a person is slowly learning how to live smaller, they eventually get to the point where they've let go so much of this physical baggage, their bookcases, maybe extra clothing. Ladies, I know some of you have a lot of clothing. I totally get it. And maybe it's other things. But the point is there's all this stuff. Well, eventually, when you're moving into a tiny house, you have to downsize. You keep doing it. So in a relationship, what do? You keep working through things until that baggage becomes less and less baggage. And now, what has happened with me personally. I was in a relationship. I was finally getting comfortable. I was finally opening up, which was very different. I'm not ashamed to say I've been through counseling, and it was not easy. But one of the things that my counselor kind of talked to me about was it was okay to trust other people. It was okay to trust again. So as I'm going through the trust factor, what are the things that I'm learning? I'm learning to let go. I'm learning to open up to people. I'm learning to let people in. That was very hard for me because this relationship that I went through, I grew very close with this person. And it was very difficult because they started to know things about me that um, I was still at times would go through an emotional moment. Okay. One of the comments the men left on there, uh, was also leading to emotional stuff. Gentlemen, if she's too emotional, she's not for you. Okay. Now, there are certain women like myself who generally are not actually that emotional. It's just that you've been through so much and you haven't taken care of what's over here to get to over here. So then what are you doing? You're overloading. It's like the glass when you're pouring into a glass, it's going to overflow. Okay? You have to get some of that fluid taken out so that you can start living life. Okay? That's what I was going through was the overflow. Unfortunately, my overflow did hurt somebody. And even though they might not admit it, I recognized it. I recognized it too late. And my gut feeling told me this was going to come to an end. And within 2 weeks, it came to an end. And it hurt so bad because I knew and there was nothing I could do about it. Now, that being said, take from me, gentlemen, and listen to what I'm saying if you're hearing this. Because I know some of you guys have clicked on here probably to say, what does this woman know about what guys want? Well, like I said, I'm listening. Okay. So, in this moment, gentlemen, I need you to hear me that not all baggage is forever baggage. And your baggage might be just as rough as her baggage. So, you might have to learn how to work through this together, and it's worth working through. Okay, if you have a good, solid relationship with somebody, you should be able to talk through things. And let me encourage you to say, thank you for listening. Even if that person doesn't speak the what is it the out of the seven love languages or the five love languages or whatever, if that person's love language is not verbal, whatever, it still is the exercise of acknowledging that you appreciate what that person did for you and listening. Now, I'm going to say something else that might sound a little funky, but I can tell you from experience because with they always say that with relationships it takes two to tango. Well, sometimes it really is just something going on with the one person. And part of the marriage problem I had is when I fixed the stuff that I was approached about that was not good, the things that, the nagging, the this, the that, the other stuff. When I literally got to the point where I was fixing it, like I actually caught myself before I would say stuff, rerouted it in my brain. Hey, that's not cool. Don't do that to him. That kind of stuff. I still ended up, with some of the issues. And I found out later on that it was because he had stuff he never worked on. So I'm going to leave that gently there. There was a lot more going on that was very bad. Now, jumping over to this part about the relationship, gentlemen, if you have things in your life that you haven't worked through, stop and work through them. Take your time. If you decide to date somebody, take your time. I'm going to encourage you on something else too. Ladies, I know that you want to jump in the sack very quickly. I'm here to tell you, because of my own personal experiences in life, that's a harsh thing to do. Take your time. Take your time getting to know who this person is. And I want to urge you to commit. Wait it out. And the reason why I'm saying this is because marriage was made for one man and one woman to enjoy each other. The problem is that because of our society, because of the way that things have been for a long time, and you don't have to agree with me, it's fine. But I've been on the other side of the fence where I didn't agree with me, 30 years ago. But I've been walking in a different pathway for a long time, and I understand things now. Again, I'm 41. So I've lived, what did my counselor put it? She said, I have lived a life that most people live in like 70 years. So basically like a full lifetime in my short 41 years, which at the time when I started getting counseling, I was 39 years old. So I'm taking what she said because she assisted combat veterans. She assisted young and old folks. Her counseling expertise was through the roof. And she knew what she was talking about, because as soon as I started applying what she said to my life, it made me realize how wrong I had been about a lot of things. So, that being said, the reason why I urge you to take your time in the bedroom area is you can have a physical attractiveness to somebody. God created beautiful people. He created us to like things. Okay. So we're not going to deny that. But the reason why I'm urging you on this matter is because for most women, having sex binds you to that person. It binds your heart, your soul, it binds you. Okay. Even if you can say, no, I just casually have sex, guaranteed there is some part of you that still feels bound to some of these other guys. And I know there's women out there who are going to completely say that what I'm saying is full of crap. And I totally get it. I understand. Like I said, 30 years ago, I would have been like, oh, yeah, okay. But because I've been walking differently for so long, I understand, and living through so much of life, having been the person that jumped into bed and then having been the person who took her time, I realize now the importance of taking your time. Okay. Ladies, men are not sexual objects. Okay. I'm not saying don't flirt. I'm not saying don't tell him that you think he's amazing, incredible, that his butt's nice or whatever. What I'm saying is take your time with those things, because you need to get to know this person before you decide that you're going to commit any further in. And then you keep going. Okay. We don't take relationships serious in life a lot. We take it for granted. Ladies, men do not want to be nagged. 9 times out of 10, they don't want another mother. So let's be real about that as well. They don't want another mother, hun. Okay, they have a mom, and those that don't, they might appreciate the qualities of a giving heart. Okay, that's different. All right. When you check in, you're like, hey, how are you? Blah, 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 blah. That's cool. But don't be a nag. Don't be up their butt. That's not your job. Okay. Now, I do have some men in my life who I know personally that if it wasn't for that kind of action from their wife, they probably wouldn't be where they're at. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is that, there's a time and a place for everything. And so when you are walking down this dating path, like I said, I felt like I walked into the Twilight Zone. It's a lot different than traditional things. Okay. But the points that they were making made so much sense, you know? Um, Also, the other thing is when you don't have aspirations in life, when you don't want to do anything with your life, that that says that you haven't even thought about yourself. So you're trying to give yourself to somebody else. Ladies, let me just explain something to you. It's okay for you to like going fishing. It's okay for you to like story writing. It's okay for you to like all these different things. Okay? To have aspirations, to enjoy creativity, all of those things. Guys really like it when you have things in your life going on. It's not a bad thing. I couldn't even believe that I was reading this section of it from a man's mouth, but it was like thousands of men saying the same thing. She's got to have aspirations. And then, you put that on top of, you know, they don't want lazy women. Ladies, a man is not a meal ticket, okay? If you decide to get married and he loves the fact that you can be at home, okay, that's a whole nother story. All right. That's you and him, and that's something you agree on. All right. But here's the truth. If you're not going to fight and you're not going to work for yourself, you're not going to take care of your bills and things like that, you're showing him you're lazy. You know, if you decide that you want to have a relationship together and he says, that he appreciates how hard you work, and then you go and you quit your job like the next day and you don't talk, about it. It's like, let's talk about the fact that you still have to make it. Number one. Number two, you're not married. Number three, what is going on? Are you depressed? Because a lot of those signs are symptoms of depression. When you don't want to get up and you don't want to work, and that means there's something going on in here that needs to get corrected. So I would highly suggest, if you've been feeling that way, get up and find your way to something good and healthy. Okay. Men like it when ladies take care of themselves. I read it. Thousands of men all across the board. Men, I got news for you too. Ladies like the same thing. We really do. Ladies, and I'm not going to go into detail on that. We already know what that means for everybody. Uh, Ladies, I do urge you not to be so self-focused that all you're doing is spending an hour and a half putting your makeup on. Literally, I challenge you today. If your makeup takes more than 30 minutes to put on, which I think is a lot of time, okay, you're beautiful and you probably don't need that much. So let's just go there, okay? But if it takes you so long to do that, there might be something that you need to stop and say, I'm doing too much, okay? I challenge you, ladies, that if you are that lady, that you would go and put a timer on for 10 minutes. Try to get your makeup done in 10 minutes. Then set a timer for your hair for 10 to 15 minutes. Now I realize I have long, thick hair, okay? It is long, it's thick. I've got it in a high ponytail right now, so it's kind of hard to see it, okay? But I've got a lot of hair, all right? And I know that like whenever I go to curl my hair, it might take 30 minutes, but I use products to where I can put the product in my hair, I curl the hair, and I let the curls set. So that's a slight tip for you ladies. Let the curls set because we're doing real talk here. Okay. Let those curls set for 10 minutes or so while you're doing something else, and then do whatever you're going to do with your hair. Your hair, if you have the right product and you do that, your hair should stay for the next couple of days. And honestly, don't wash your hair every single day. It's bad for your hair to do that. So, but the point is that, you don't want to be so absorbed in that, because men were saying that was actually a problem that they had to. but they do love that ladies get dressed and they take care of themselves, okay? So if you're feeling depressed, just know that somewhere out there, someone notices the time that you put into you and they hold it valuable. So you should hold that valuable too. I believe firmly that God creates us to be reflections of his image. Now, it doesn't mean that, women are going to, completely look like God. No. It just simply means that we get up and we fight for our best, we do our best, and we give the good from the good of our heart, right? And so when I get up in the morning and I decide I'm going to put on makeup, whether it's a lot of makeup or a little makeup, whatever I'm doing, I try to make sure that I'm not so absorbed in it that that's all that's going on. But what I do with it is I use that just as a way of portraying another part or another aspect of myself. And it's not a bad thing. Now, I realize some of you, like, you literally do art on your face. I have seen it. It's amazing. It's incredible. But I can tell you right now that you don't have to do that every day. That is a cool thing that you can do, but you don't have to do that every day. Sorry, my dog is very excited to say hi. So going back to this, because I wasn't going to touch on that, but I had to because it needed to be said. So we have this whole thing in our society too, where, women just get to the point where they're pushy. They expect things out of men that are not good. Okay. There's so much more that these gentlemen were saying, but those were the basics. It was like, she's demanding. She wants, basically like a sugar daddy. She expects to have a full relationship when we just met. She wants me to respond to every text message within 5 minutes and so on and so forth. And it's like, guys, that's not reality. 20 years ago, we didn't have cell phones all over the place. 21 years ago to 25 years ago, if you wanted to call somebody, you had to do it with a regular phone attached to a wall. You had your conversation with your boyfriend. Hey, maybe some people fell in love quick and they said, oh, I love you. Okay. Smoochy boochy. Okay. Bye. And then that was it. You might call them later on, maybe, or you called them the next day. But that's just it. You don't have to sit here and be clingy, ladies. We don't have to be clingy. Guys don't want us to be clingy. They really don't. I'm just saying. Someone needed to say it. And I felt so grateful to come across that Facebook message. It really brightened up my brain. I was like, hey, this is true. I've had this experience, or I didn't have this experience. I watched somebody else go through it and was like, ugh. The other part was some of the guys were like, she's bitter. Don't be bitter. Don't be bitter, ladies. My encouragement to you is live every relationship you have like you have never been hurt. That's what I'm going to do now. That's what I've been doing for the last couple months. I was so depressed. I was hurt. But you know what? I am so thankful. I am so thankful for that gift that I had in that relationship because it showed me what was going on in my heart. My baggage was becoming overwhelming. Maybe not necessarily for him, but as much as it was for me. And I can honestly say that ever since I chose to get up and say, even when it starts coming back into my head, the whole thoughts, the stupid thoughts, because I've been cheated on before. And I've had it, and it was bad. I had one cheat on me with a man, and one with women, and it just it was tough. actually multiple relationships in my life I was cheated on, with, you know, and not to say I'm perfect by any means, but because my um, meekness, I guess is the word. Um, I was an easy target for that. But again, if I just lived the rest of my life with each relationship like I've never been hurt, then I can live my full potential. I have more to offer now than I did even 2 months ago, than I did 4 months ago, than I did 6 months ago. It's okay, ladies. If you're hurting, you know what? Thank God you're alive. You beautiful person, you. And don't let that stop you from having a good relationship anywhere else. Get up, get dressed, take care of yourself. It's okay to have a job, it's okay to have aspirations. Don't let them overwhelm your entire life to where you don't get rest. Don't be bitter. Be joyful. Be thankful. Say thank you to the people in your life for what they do for you. You know, even the smallest thing. I have a neighbor who takes my trash down the driveway. That is the sweetest thing. It really is. You know who you are. I appreciate you. So, what I'm trying to say is listen to what these guys are saying, ladies. Gentlemen, listen to me too, please. Just remember, your baggage is not, you might feel like your baggage is too much for her, but baby, we all got baggage. Let me just be real. We all got baggage, okay? That's because we're born into a really crude, harsh world. But it doesn't mean we have to stay in that baggage. So, all of you hear me. You don't have to stay stuck like this. You're worth a fight. You are worth the fight. So, if you got anything out of this, I appreciate you hanging on as long as you have. It's been 37 minutes, almost 38. And I appreciate you just letting me go off. This is one of my early stages with podcasting, but again, thank you so much for listening, you guys. Thank you for putting up with all of the inaccuracies, inaccuracies. Yeah, I guess it's pretty close to the same thing. But thank you so much for putting up with it. I really do appreciate it. Ladies, listen to what guys have to say. Honestly, most of them are going to tell you the truth right off the bat. And the ones that don't, they're just liars. A liar is a liar. He can be a man or a woman. Sorry. That's just how it is. It's going to be real. But really good people are out there. And most of the time when a guy says, I don't like this, he doesn't like it. Ladies, we have a tendency to say, I don't like it, but I like it. Well, you know what? We're still hiding things. So I think we need to take that wall down and we need to be like very real up front, including with your Facebook picture, people. Stop putting filters on everything. Oh my gosh. That was another one that was on there. That's so fake. Guys, be real. Ladies, be real. Come on. A really true person, if they're attracted to you, is going to like you for who you are. I mean, as strange as this sounds, I've gone out with like full blown makeup on. People would comment nice things about my eyes. I've gone out with just like this where it's barely anything on at all because I was like, I have a long day ahead of me and I don't really need to be stuck in the bathroom for the entirety of the morning. I'd rather sit down and watch a couple of shows and read my Bible or drink my coffee. And I got way more compliments with very little on. So, ladies, I'm not the only one. There's a lot of men out there who really do just like you for who you are. So you don't have to filter it all up, okay? And before anybody else asks, yes, these are my real eyelashes. And somebody today say it. I've had people the last couple of weeks because it's been a couple of weeks where I've just had my mascara on my eyelashes. So I'm just going to point it out. Those are real. But what I'm trying to say is you don't have to wear makeup all the time. Okay? Be yourself. Be your beautiful self. Trust me. If he really likes you, he's going to appreciate you for who you are. And that's what they even said. I read it in the thousands of comments on this post. So, ladies, listen to the guys. They're worth listening to if you ever want a good relationship. I'm just saying. Just saying. Putting it out there. So, all right. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I appreciate you. And if you got anything out of this, you can like and subscribe to it. I would appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Thank you.